I'm Chuck Blahous with the Hudson Institute. The Obama administration is asking Congress to quickly pass a bold and expensive stimulus package. Estimates of the total size of the package approximate $800 billion over 10 years, although the Senate Finance Committee recently added amendments that could push the total cost up closer to $900 billion. The package is generally described as being roughly $275 to $300 billion in tax relief, coupled with more than $500 billion in additional new spending. This actually overstates the total amount of tax relief in the package. Approximately one-third of the so-called tax relief is actually structured in the form of outlays that would be sent as checks to non-taxpayers. Correcting for this, the total amount of actual tax relief in both the Senate and House package comprises less than 1/4 of the total size of the stimulus package. Now, there are a couple of things that we need to bear in mind in terms of the context in which this package is being considered. One is that the Congressional Budget Office recently estimated that the baseline deficit that we will be running in 2009 is roughly $1.2 trillion. This is obviously the largest such deficit in federal government history. Secondly, we are considering the stimulus package in the context of being on the eve of an explosion of federal entitlement spending, most especially in the programs of Social Security and Medicare. Although press attention has focused more on the rising cost of health care entitlements, such as Medicare and Medicaid, the aggregate cost growth in Social Security will actually be just as large over the next two presidential terms as will be the aggregate cost growth in Medicare. Now, economists generally believe that the economy right now, as we know, in addition to struggling, is performing well below its actual capacity. And this has prompted many calls for the enactment of a federal stimulus package. Now, none of us can say what is the appropriate amount of stimulus spending that Congress should be doing. But it's very clear that $1.2 trillion, even in the absence of a new stimulus package, is an enormous amount of fiscal stimulus. Now, assuming that we do want to enact a sizable stimulus package on top of the baseline $1.2 trillion deficit, there are a couple of changes that I believe we should make. One is that we should purge the package of all measures that would not have their effect until after 2 years after the date of enactment. Clearly, anything that does not spend out until after the first 2 years cannot be justified as emergency stimulus and would do nothing to help our economy in the short term. Beyond that, I have great concerns about the transparency and the honesty of accounting in this package. The making work pay provision causes me particular concern. It is structured as a 6.2% refundable tax credit. Now, clearly the 6.2% figure is designed to mimic the 6.2% Social Security payroll tax and to create the impression, or perhaps more accurately, the misimpression, that people are receiving a refund of their payroll taxes paid. In reality, what is planned is to allocate the full amount of the Social Security 6.2% payroll tax to the Social Security Trust Fund at the same time. We cannot simultaneously credit that money to the trust fund and give it back to workers. It is therefore not an actual refund of their payroll taxes. We should relabel that provision as a pure spending provision, which is what it actually is. Now, beyond these two uppermost concerns, in general, we need to be scrutinizing this overall package, even for the spending that would take place in the first 2 years, and to make sure that it is of a character that will stimulate our economy in the near term and justify the circumvention of the normal budget process.